We're back. We're in the room. Welcome, David Birtwistle, husband, coach, star of one of Netflix's biggest shows, business owner, entrepreneur, holds an engineering degree, strength and conditioning degree, and is currently an MBA student, and of course, a Kello customer. Thanks for joining the podcast where we meet one of our amazing customers. We're here to deliver as much value as possible and make healthy easy. You've said most people fail at fitness not because of bad information, but because their head's not right. How do you actually fix that?
My belief is that if somebody has a target they're trying to reach and they envisage who the person is that is able to achieve that target, right? And they go, right, what are the qualities that that person has? What are the things that that person does? And then they just work backwards, reverse engineer it effectively. That's I think the best place to start. But the problem is sometimes that we get those behaviors or actions seem impossible to do now. So we need to then make them smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's effectively, what is the thing that you can do right now that allows you to take the first step in that journey? But I think people get paralyzed by the scale of the challenge that they're trying to achieve. Within health and fitness, that could be running a marathon, it could be losing weight, it could be whatever. If we pick a really big goal, it's awesome to have a really big goal. But some people will be problems focused and some people will be solutions focused. And if you're problems focused and you go, I want to run a sub 3 or a sub 4 marathon or whatever, I just want to complete a marathon. And then they go, oh, I couldn't run today because it was raining. I'm like, you are focusing on the problem. You're not focusing on a solution to that problem. How do you solve the problem of it's raining? You're like, can you solve that problem? No, you can't control the weather. So just fucking run anyway, mate. Right? You've got a goal. Are you going to let the small things that get in the way or that make it a little bit harder to achieve stop you? Or are you going to find solutions for each of those problems?
What do you believe now about health, coaching, fitness that contradicts what you were telling clients a decade ago?
Fucking loads, probably. Like, imagine when you were the first year you ever did your job, you got so much shit wrong, didn't you? Right? Like we all do. That's the beauty of life, is you learn stuff along the way.
I'll tell you the dumbest training thing I've ever done. I used to go into the gym and like, I think I was like 14, 15, so give me a break here. But I used to be like, I want big biceps, but really, really lean triceps. So I would do sets of like 4 to 6 heavy reps on biceps. And then in the same workout, I would do sets of 20 really fast on triceps because I was like, that's how you get lean. And the other one is how you get big.
I used to think intensity is the thing. And now consistency and sustainability is the thing. That shifted over time because, to be honest, like most people want to look good. They want to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, yeah, I look good. Most people want to be strong and feel strong, like they are not feeble. And most people want to be able to walk upstairs and not be out of breath and these sort of things. And do that around their job, do that around their social life, around their family, around their other commitments and such. And so essentially, like right now, it's how do we get them to eat healthy food? How do we get them to be active? How do we get them to somewhat enjoy that process, or at least enjoy the outcome of that process and get them to see the intrinsic benefit? That's way more important than me being like, come on, push.
Totally.
And I think that coaching methodology, the boot camp, the drill sergeant, the intensity, that is such an outdated idea of what a PT is or should be. And for some people, psychologically, it works really, really well. It's a very, very small percentage of the population that it actually works well for. Most people don't respond that well to it. They actually end up resenting you and they end up resenting the process, and the pain of it massively outweighs the benefit. And so they end up being like, this is shit, running so hard.
It's the exact same in diet culture. I think if you go back to, as you know, I started a company called Fresh Fitness Food with another guy about 12 years ago now. And back then diet culture was around chicken, broccoli, these really extreme. There was the fish and rice cake guy on Instagram or Facebook probably. But it's the exact same thing. We realize that like adherence is the key to success. And that kind of diet, only a very small % of people can actually keep that up. And I think the success of Callo so far in the UK is like the more we push the taste, flavor, variety of something, the better results somebody gets. And so, and sometimes I think you could almost even sacrifice on, let's increase the white rice pasta in a dish or something like that, which somebody might say that's not inherently healthy. But if it makes that person stay on a decent macro split with high fiber, high nutrients for longer, then they should definitely do that, because it's about consistency, not those one-off moments.
Yeah.
Recently, you've taken time off running after running a sub-3 marathon. First of all, congrats on the sub-3. But why take off the significant stint of time now from running?
Running's really demanding on the body, but a lot of the damage that it does is invisible, or it's really easy to miss it. It's quite easy to just run a race, train for a race, run a race, take a week off, and then just start running again. Easy miles after that are super easy to do.
And running's addictive, right?
Yeah, running's super addictive. But I think that because there's such a low barrier to entry with it, in that you just need to put your trainers on and go outside, it's something that's very easy to do every single day. If you like running, a lot of people will run loads. And in order to gain the benefit from any sort of physical activity, it's a stress dose response whereby you do some sort of activity which loads the body, causes stress to the body, and then you need to give a certain amount of time for the body to then recover from that stress. Now, if we give an appropriate amount of time, the body will go through a state of fatigue where your readiness reduces, and then you allow it to have more time, and then it will increase. And then if you've given it the right dose and the right amount of time, then your body will improve. Mm-hmm. With running, it's super easy to go, rest a little bit, go, rest a little bit, go, rest a little bit, go.
Because it's not the same level of DOMs as weightlifting.
Exactly.
Like
the pain, like if you go to the gym and you do squats and you do a heavy session, like you might really struggle to sit on the toilet the next day. Do you know what I mean? Like your legs might be so sore that if anyone touches them, you're like, oh my God, mate, get off me.
Totally.
Right? But with running, you don't get that pain. You just get this like low level kind of fatigue, which can really creep in, and you might not even notice it because it happens quite slowly. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to overdo it. Mm-hmm. And the long term of running a lot with under recovery, under fueling, is going to be potentially getting like stress fractures, you know? Mm-hmm. That's really bad. You can get like chronic fatigue from running if you run loads and you don't rest enough. So for me, like my goal is not to be the best runner in the world. My goal is to have longevity. Strength training, running, recovery, nutrition, sleep all play really important roles within that. Like I want to be able to like run after my kids and be really capable. The way I see it is that my body is the vehicle that carries my mind through the world. Now, in order for that, I don't want that vehicle to have like a 2-cylinder, 2-stroke engine. I want it to have a screaming V12. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be good and I want it to look good at the same time and be able to run through walls. Now, in order to be able to do that, having time off from things is really important to allow the body to like settle back down, because running, you might get like stress on your tendons, stress on your ligaments, stress on your muscles, stress on your bones. All of those stresses, if you're not given the amount of time necessary, they'll just end up being problems and injuries.
And help me through this. So it's let's presume it is pretty much the beginning of 2026. We're in early February now. Let's say I'm training for the pushing for a sub-4, which is an ambitious time in the London Marathon. And so I'm training a lot between now and then. And then what does the rest of the year look like in terms of what you would recommend for a 9-to-5 office workout with similar aspirations to you as far as how they use their body for life? And I love that line, by the way. Like I want my body to be the vehicle for my
that
mind.
Carries my mind through the world.
That's beautiful. But what would you recommend to me over that 12-month period? What does that block look like?
Okay, so from a physiological perspective, there's two main systems. You've got your strength system and your endurance system. And so strength training makes your strength system better, and running endurance activities make cardiovascular system better. So if you're training for London Marathon, then right now you're going to be prioritizing that endurance side of things. Most likely you've already got loads of other stresses in life, work, family, money, whatever. And so running is like the next stress on top of that. It's a positive stress, but it's still going to be challenging, especially for marathon training, which is very demanding. You might be pushing yourself through new levels of running volume you're just not used to, and it'll be hard to recover from that. So for the next like 3 months until London, pushing really hard at that. And then I would take at least a week, if not 2 weeks off running completely after that marathon attempt. Because the marathon itself is going to be probably one of the hardest things that somebody who's trying to chase sub 4 has probably ever done. Definitely one of the most demanding. 4 hours to run a marathon is actually one of the hardest times to run a marathon in, because, you know, the guys that are doing it in sub 3, between 2 and 3 hours, like
they're well trained, their bodies are used to it already, right?
Exactly. And they're running for like a third to half the time.
Great point.
Right.
You know, my marathon time today is probably 4.5 hours, maybe even longer.
Right.
So if I want to bring that down, I'm still on the pavement for 4 hours.
4 hours, man. And there's an interesting thing from like your physiological perspective in the energy systems that you use when you're running. So if you're running really slow, you're relative slow, the individual's slow, different for every person, but the individual's relative slow pace is going to primarily use fat as the source of energy, and it's going to oxidize fat, and you can do that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But in order to run like a 4-hour marathon, you have to use both fat and carbohydrates as a fuel source, and it's really hard to use carbohydrates as a fuel source for long periods of times without stopping, because your heart rate is going to be higher, the intensity is going to be higher than someone, say, running a 5-hour marathon. You just can't sustain the same intensity.
And what happens when I've run out of glucose? I'm in
That's
2
horrible.
hours in, but I need my heart rate to be plus 160. What does that place look like?
Well, you just have to eat. You have to eat. You have to get carbs in straight away. Like ideally, you'd be fueling from the start.
Okay.
So like you keep your carbohydrate stores as high as possible from the start. But the original question you asked me was like, after the marathon, what do you do? Like if it was me, I would take time to then go, right, we've trained endurance for a long period of time, like 4 months realistically. It's been like the primary focus. If the goal is optimal body composition, optimal longevity in health, function, fitness, all of that, then we need to then start working through that strength phase. And I would go through a bit more of a balanced approach, right? So having maybe 2 sessions in the gym each week and 2 runs, much more manageable. After you've taken a bit of time off running, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you gradually build up back in slow runs and stuff. And it depends on what the individual's goals were for the later stages. But in general, I would try to focus on what I do. This is my personal approach, is that over the kind of winter, Christmas period, build the strength, because strength underpins everything. Power, explosiveness, change of direction, like resilience, bone strength, all of those things come from lifting heavy. And then I would then build that into the endurance stuff. And then once you've got the base fitness, February, March, April, building up that intensity as you get towards the back end of the season. So those are what we call like mesocycles, microcycles, where you kind of specifically focus on one area of training, one area of fitness. But in general, strength, the ability to contract your muscle and produce force, is the base of a strength pyramid, which then the faster you're able to produce that force gets up towards the top, where it's then speed, power, and then right at the top is going to be like your ability to repeatedly produce massive force very fast.
Amazing. I think also just to take a moment and say congrats on the sub 3. And I think it's for anyone who achieves that, it's not just congrats on that 3 hours you were running, but it's congrats on getting through the prior 4 months that led to that.
Oh mate, add months onto that. I first tried to run the sub 3 was 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I've technically been trying to run a sub 3 marathon for about 28 months.
Wow.
it took in total.
I think, I don't know whether you saw, but recently Spencer Matthews came out with the concept of the alpha athlete.
Apex athlete.
Apex athlete.
Yeah, something
which
like
is a 110 kg bench press within 24 hours of running a sub 3 marathon.
Yeah, no, it's actually harder than that. He said you got to run sub 250 marathon and bench 110 for 10 reps within 24 hours.
I think you might be one of the point something
It'd be close.
percentiles.
It'd be close because I hit 257 was my marathon time, and I was actually really disappointed with that. Like the race didn't go well on the day. I was actually aiming for 245. I would not have finished the marathon in the time that I did if I had bad self-talk, negative self-talk, because it was so hard. Like the last 8K was brutal. Like every bone in my body wanted to stop running. And it was just like my body was going, stop running. You're an idiot, mate. What are you doing? You've been doing this for like 34K. Just give it a rest. And like actually, if you know, sometimes in NFL, they mic up the players.
Yeah.
I honestly wish someone had mic'd me up because I'm like shouting at myself.
Really out loud.
Like out loud. Whilst running, like literally, I will shout at myself, don't you fucking stop. Don't you fucking stop. Who the fuck are you? And I will literally shout at myself like, come on. You can do this. Keep going. Like I will literally be out loud shouting as I'm running because there's no one else with you. You're your own person. Sure. If you're not
that's expending a lot of energy, but
yeah, bro, at that point, it's just anything that keeps you moving, right? That psychological state of mind. If there's anything I've done where I've really pushed myself to the limit, if there's ever a sign of weakness in my head, if that crack even starts to appear a little bit, any negative self-talk like floods into it and rips it open, and then you're fucked.
It really resonates. I think what's difficult is that they never send army commandos into. There's this great book that I'm not going to remember right now, but I'll try to cut it in later or something like that. But there's a great book about building grit and determination and things like that. And what really resonated is that you don't build perseverance, grit, determination through simply going through hard things. You build them by planning and putting in place the right mental frameworks for when that hard thing happens. So they don't send a commando into a war zone and say, well, do a couple of war zones and then you'll be able to mentally handle this. They train you on the psychology before you go into that place. But I'd also say that, what I've found like incredibly powerful is once you've been through that super challenging competition, workout, you name it, and then knowing what your capacity is, and then coming to that choke point and saying, you've been here before and you got through it, so you can do this again. And I think that's definitely, that kind of affirmation is definitely the most powerful, but that does just come from reps.
That reminds me of a quote by Alex Hormozi, who's a business leader. And it's outwork your self-doubt.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes, that's it. You have self-doubt, like outwork it, work really hard and prove to yourself that you can do hard things. Yeah. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I can do hard things.
You can only have so much affirmation before you become confident.
Exactly.
You've said your deepest conversations, I guess like this in a way, often happen after training with mates, I guess in that kind of zone where you've got some endorphins, but maybe you've been through something hard together as well, and not in the pub. Why do you think that is?
People bond through shared trauma or shared tribulation. And so if you do a really hard workout with someone, you're like, oh yeah, fair play. Like
I like that.
You're the kind of person that can do hard things. And then you just like have a bond,
I like that a lot. Let's take it back for a bit. So you're at university, you're playing professional rugby, and then you have an ACL tear. This is something that resonates with me a bit. I was 18 and I shattered my tibia plateau, tore out my internal and external ligaments in a rugby game. My knee's now completely full of steel. And at the time, like I didn't think I was going to be a professional rugby player like you, but I definitely had like sporting aspirations that in a given moment just disappeared. And I was in hospital for a week, sat there thinking, what's going to happen? And I look back and I'm glad it happened because I'm now where I am today. But talk us through at the time, like what was that like? How did you handle losing some of that identity as an athlete, or did you?
Yeah, I definitely did. I think because I was only 16.
Oh, wow.
17.
And that's when you've got the wildest aspirations and dreams of all.
Yeah. Like when I was 17, England had won the World Cup like 4 years before, the Rugby World Cup. And I was at London Wasps. And so Josh Lucy, MBE, was there. Lawrence Dallaglio was there. Like loads of these amazing English rugby players. And I was like looking at them. Danny Cipriani.
Wow.
And just was in this environment. And then the ACL happened. I remember when it happened, going to the ice bath afterwards, and I hate ice baths. But I was in the ice bath and I just cried. I was just crying. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, wow. I'll do everything I can. And I got back and I was playing rugby 6 months after injuring it, 5 months post-operation, ACL, full reconstruction. I was back playing rugby again. But that was just through sheer like, oh, if I do this, then I'll prove that I'm good enough to continue. But
didn't feel the same.
It didn't happen. Psychologically, it took a lot longer to recover.
Guessing, being tackled.
Exactly, and changing direction, all that sort of stuff. So there was a long process of that identity shifting, a lot of time of figuring out, well, what do I do now? And just kind of was going through the motions. But it's interesting because when I look back to that period of my life, that was like the most focused I've ever been in my entire life, is when I was like 16, 17, 18.
Get back on track.
In that environment. I was so single-minded. Like nothing else mattered. I had a girlfriend before and I broke up with her to do it. I was like, I'm not going to have time. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I was like,
I think that's one of the only points in our lives when, you know, you can be that single-minded, you know, because somebody's paying the rent and, you know, you can fully focus. For me, I mean, it's funny reflecting back, but I got tackled by like 3 guys at once. Obviously, everything went wrong in my knee, but I didn't know. And we were playing a grand final, so we were so hyped on like the adrenaline of the grand final, and we were only up by like 2 points or something. And so I kept playing, and my thigh bone was sort of semi-sinking into the bottom half of my leg. And then I remember getting taken off, and this is like, you know, like small town rugby league. I remember the guy, like the team masseuse, who, you know, was like the most unqualified team masseuse you can imagine, sort of said, look, you're still sort of moving. I don't think it's broken. Put the collar of your jersey into your mouth and bite down, and then put deep heat all over my knee and gave me a rub. And I don't think, I remember just tears just falling, like just streaming from my face from the pain, while I was like biting down onto this like dirty collar of my jersey. What's the single biggest nutrition mistake people keep getting stuck with despite doing everything else right?
It would probably be the irregularity of calorie consumption. What I mean by that is when people are not thinking about what they eat that much, they eat too much. And then when they think about what they eat too little. And runners will do that as well a lot, but more to the extreme. Under fueling in people that are really active is a real problem. That causes massive problems. But if you're looking to lose weight, then it's a real challenge too, because you don't eat enough and then you eat too much. And then when you go through these yo-yos, ups and downs, I'd say that's the biggest challenge, like inconsistency of calorie consumption. That's the biggest thing. If most people solved that problem, it would solve most of their food-related challenges.
You went from getting 1 million followers overnight after being the star of one of Netflix's biggest shows, but now you're in a position moving into an MBA and looking to build a new business. What did the experience of that kind of overnight fame teach you about what you do and don't want?
I don't really care for people to know who I am, that might sound super weird, having you just saying what you just said, right? Like I've experienced it.
But did that change? Did you care before it, and then you realized once you had it, it wasn't actually that useful or important?
It was never that I wanted people to know who I am for the sake of attention. Attention for the sake of attention is a bit weird because it feels like unjustified.
Well, it's a status game, right? And that's That's like not a great game to be playing.
No, and I'm not really a status kind of guy. Like I don't have a flashy car and I don't have a bougie house, and I kind of just, for me, status is like health.
Mm-hmm.
Like I pride myself on being healthy and like doing fitnessy things, and business is where I'm like putting my attention,
Mm-hmm.
but I've not achieved in that space yet. Like, so yeah, from coming back to what you were saying, moving away from it, because I very quickly realized I didn't actually like people just being like, hi, oh my God, you're that guy who was on that show. I'm like, yeah, I was. And they're like, oh, can I have a photo? I'm like, you can do. But I'm like, that's it. That's the value. That is, and I'm thinking to myself, is my only value just that someone knows who I am and they want a photo? No, I've got way more value than that. I can do better things. I can do more impactful things. I can help more people.
Mm-hmm.
I can like do shit that makes me feel proud.
Mm-hmm.
I did not feel proud.
Really?
No.
You go from 1 million followers overnight. You are on the front screen of most of the world. I think over 100 million subscribers are on there, and then see that when it comes up.
Oh, there was loads. Yeah, I think it was seen by like almost 100 million people.
I'm Lana.
Plot twist.
Go team.
There are conditions to your stay here.
Bloody hell.
No kissing or sex of any kind.
Oh shit.
And the feeling after is not to be, I did that, I'm so proud of myself.
Well, I didn't do anything. It's just me. I'm proud of myself for being a good human in general, but like, do I deserve attention for just being, do I deserve that level of attention for just being me? No. It's not like everyone should have that much attention for being them if that's what it deserves. But like the value exchange for me, it just didn't make sense. I didn't feel like I deserved it. I didn't do something notable or admirable. I just was on a fucking TV show and people were like, oh, you're a fun person to watch on telly. You might have said a few things that made me laugh, or you were vulnerable. Like I cried on the show and people seemed to really connect with that because they're like, oh, guys don't really cry. But I don't know. To me, I didn't achieve something. I've not hit my level of status, my level of success that I'd be like, yes, you have done yourself proud. You've done something that's like worth you being like, oh, yeah, I did a thing.
Kind of switching tact a little bit. So you probably have this come through from a lot of clients, and I know I do. I think I'm in the tens of thousands of people that I've tried to help, in sort of within the product that we sell. But when somebody says to you they don't have time to eat well, what do you think's actually stopping them?
Largely time management and prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're being completely honest, most people do eat each day.
Yep.
Eat something. And so it might be time is the actual limitation is time, but usually it's the excuse for I didn't plan, or I didn't organize myself, or I didn't make it the decision which aligns with my longer term goals. I made the decision aligned with my right now desire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's quite easy to solve most of these problems, to be honest. Like I have two solutions for me personally, which I utilize, which solve the time issue. And I was actually saying this to a client last night as well on our consultation, was like, I'm inherently lazy, right? It might sound strange, but I'm like, I do things now. I will put lots of effort in now so I don't have to do it again.
Got it. Yeah.
And so in the rare moments of motivation, which are not constant, but they're fleeting. Mm-hmm. In the rare moments of motivation, I go, okay, cool. Well, I'm really motivated to solve this problem right now. I'm going to make sure I solve this problem, not for right now, but forever. Mm-hmm. And so I'll go, right, what's the solution that does that? And so for me, with regards to nutrition, it will be either that, well, I have a weekly delivery from a supermarket that's the same every week. Mm-hmm. I'm like, right, one day I put exactly what I need in. I was like, I just want this.
That's great.
So it comes every Monday. And then I have Callow, which is another solution. So both of these are my food solutions. I don't have to make the decision. The food's in the fridge. I eat it. It's as much effort to eat that as it is to eat something shit and that doesn't help me. So
sometimes I think our business is, as much as it's solving for health results, it's also solving for cognitive load. And I think like or another great way that I have described it to clients before is that think of your motivation as a big glass of water. And early in the morning, you take a little sip, and then you're in the day and you do something hard and you take a few more sips. And then you do a workout in the afternoon and you take a big sip. And by the time you're stood in the aisle of Tesco and you're looking up at the shelves, there's not much water left to drink. And when there's low motivation and you're tired, and particularly in the winter months, it's so easy to reach for comfort foods or things that are just inherently less healthy or high in calories. But if you know something that you've paid for is in the fridge, particularly something like our service that's not cheap, you're thinking, I'm not walking into Tesco's because I've already got something there. And then it removes choice, which lowers cognitive load and less sips of water and then better health results. A couple of faster bowls here. You've trained for aesthetics, for sports, and now for endurance. Which version of fit made you feel the best day to day?
Not being injured and being strong is a very nice place to be.
What's the most underrated recovery practice?
Sleep.
Still, even though it's talked about all the time. You still
But people don't do it enough. Like, get really good sleep. What I mean by, you don't have to sleep for 10 hours, but like just get the room set up so that you can sleep deep.
Yeah.
Like in uninterrupted sleep. It's definitely underrated.
If you could do only one exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Having sex. That'd be the best one.
You carb loaded at 9 to 12 grams per kilo for your marathon. Could you just break down periodized nutrition for us in relation to carbohydrates? How should somebody think about carbohydrates relative to body weight during the training phase and then during the actual effort?
Pre-marathon, typically people do a carb load where you over-consume carbohydrates to flood the muscles with glucose, basically to store it ready to be used. So the upper end of that within the science is typically 9 to 12 grams per kilogram. I did about 10 grams, which was actually too much for me. It ended up kind of spilling over. What I mean by that is that like my body couldn't absorb any more into my muscles. And so it then kind of pulls water into your subcutaneous skin. So you kind of go puffy. It's a thing that
what does that
happens
look like in real
bodybuilding as well.
terms? So if we're saying 10 grams, let's say you're about 90 kilos.
Yeah, so 900 grams of carbs per
and
day.
that if pasta when cooked or rice when cooked is about 20 grams of carbs per 100 grams. So what in volume of food?
Oh, loads, kilos.
What does the day of food look like?
God, it was like a snack was like a box of flapjacks, and like I'd have that, and then like Jaffa cakes and crumpets and pasta and rice.
All in a day?
A day, yeah, loads of it. It was so much food. I basically had to eat. I was saying I basically broke it up. I needed 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour every hour.
Wow.
For 9 hours.
Which is about a kilo every hour.
Depending on how much water you have of it, it was a lot, yeah.
Wow.
So that was a lot. So that's like pre-marathon. And then endurance athletes, typically you would like, a good ballpark figure is around 5 to 7 grams per kilo of body weight on like a high endurance athlete's general activity for carbohydrates. Because carbohydrates are your energy source. They're like the petrol you put in your car. And so if you're going to do lots of endurance activity, you need carbohydrates, which is why it's super important for runners to eat enough.
And also the calories have to come from somewhere, right? I mean, we had Mo Sabihi, who at the time held the world record on the 500 meter erg rower and also won gold at Rio. And I remember it's quite a cool story. He came in with his gold medal, and I've still got the letter somewhere, but he wrote me and the team a letter, and he said a big part of this gold medal is yours. And he'd eaten from our service for 12 months in the lead up to the gold medal at Rio. And he was eating on average 6,500 calories a day. But he would sort of explain that those calories have to come from somewhere. So there's 4 macronutrients. You've got alcohol, which is 7 calories per gram. And then you've got carbs and protein, which are 4, and then fat, which is 9. But if you do not want to eat that much protein in a day. He didn't really want to eat more than 250 grams of protein in a given day. And he didn't want the rest to come from fat. He wanted it to come from a quality energy source. So that meant most of his calories were coming from carbohydrates, which meant flapjacks, loads of grains and things like that.
There's an interesting thought process on what you were saying there. Some people, it used to be like that people thought there was an upper limit of what humans could process. That there was like this, our metabolisms could increase to a point and then it would plateau and it wouldn't be able to go higher and higher. But actually what we now know to be true is that there isn't so much an upper limit of what a human body can process, take in and output. It's basically how much can you eat? Can you eat enough food? And so they've done studies on triathletes, Ironman triathletes, and basically like you can eat thousands and thousands and thousands of calories each day and the body will continue to utilize it and it will keep its metabolism high and keep burning it as long as you keep fueling it. But most people don't push it because to eat 5, 6, 7,000 calories a day is really hard. Now you would think like in order to be able to eat that much, you need to train a lot. Otherwise you don't need that much food, right? But then the challenge becomes, how do I actually get 6,000 calories or 7,000 calories in my diet? Because in order to burn that much fuel, you need to exercise for hours. And you can't have like a big complex meal with loads and loads of fiber and chicken breast and beef and then cycle for 2 hours. You need a big amount of time to be able to like break that down. So the hard thing is the balance of complex carbohydrate sources, which would be like your rice and like brown rice, brown pasta,
sugars, gels.
Well, that would be like your simple carbohydrates.
Right.
So the simple carbs is stuff that's then going to be broken down super quickly and you can have really quite close to exercise. So it's like the balance of this and then also the balance of how much fiber do you have, because fiber slows down the digestive process, which is really good for most people. But if you're trying to eat loads and loads of food, that's not ideal. It's like blogging your drain pipe. Right? Same with protein. It takes a lot of time to break down. So like it's really the skill if you're a very active individual that needs loads of food of like, how do I actually get it in?
I think it basically, you end up breaking it down not just at the macronutrient level, but also within the carbohydrates. I remember we've had a lot of elite athletes, but I remember James Haskell in particular used our service for a long time, and he had such a particular diet right on game day, which was a real like, you know, periodization of what he was eating, when he was eating it, and how that was going to impact like his actual performance in a given game. Category 4. If we took calo away next week, what's the biggest thing you'd lose?
Flexibility, convenience, the time. I mean, keep going. Like it's the bit you said it earlier, cognitive load, right? I want to make decisions that are important. I don't want to be having to make a decision about what am I having for lunch? What am I having for dinner? Like I just don't really care. The food most of the time, unless I'm going out to a lovely meal, lovely dinner, a lovely restaurant or whatever. For me, that food is like, I need something that makes me feel good, hits my nutrient targets and allows me to keep going through the day without like a spike in energy and a crash. Right. So it's all of those things, to be honest.
I love that. And I think for some people, I propose the challenge of if the main thing you're looking forward to today is lunch, which is fun, and maybe you're a real foodie. But if you're not, and the main thing that you have to look forward to today, and we take that choice away from you, I'd challenge you to use that time to come up with something else to really, really look forward to.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're doing an MBA at the moment, you're learning how to run a business, and you've already had a successful business before. If you had my job next week, what's the first thing you'd change at Calo?
I'd give David Birtwistle free Calo for life.
Great answer. Anything else?
No, I think you guys are crushing it, to be honest. It's all good.
Favorite day of food from Calo or meal?
I like that there's the different styles of food. So like it's not just like British food. Do you know what I mean? It's got a nice like worldly.
Lots of different cuisines.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like the spices that you get sometimes, like I just wouldn't utilize this as a boring white middle class English man. Do you know what I mean?
No, and that's coming. I mean, I think our mission now is to improve adherence through, and thus health results through more variety and being like a really gourmet food company as well. So March, we've got like amazing Indian foods coming on. Then we've got, and we're doing these through chef collaborations. And then in April, we're going to have a lot of Caribbean food coming on with another chef collaboration. So these are like well-known, absolutely brilliant chefs coming into our kitchens, helping us develop new recipes, and then they'll feature as sort of specials on there.
That's nice, man.
Going to hit you with a bit of a fastball.
Yeah.
So this is David Birtwistle's This or That for health and fitness. Hypertrophy or strength training?
Hypertrophy.
Zone 2 or VO2 max?
Zone 2.
Protein timing or total daily intake?
Total daily intake.
Compound lifts or isolation work?
Compound lifts.
Does that build the biggest arms?
No.
Progressive overload or mind-muscle connection?
Oh, well, you need mind-muscle connection in order to progressively overload properly.
Good answer. Sleep or nutrition?
Sleep will directly impact nutrition, right? So like, I know this isn't quick, but if someone sleeps really badly, they're more likely to make poor decisions with their nutrition, even if they're given the option to have something healthy. So it's like one builds the opportunity to have the right thing next.
With great sleep, the light is loader the next day.
Absolutely.
Mobility work or load management?
Load management.
You want to just quickly explain load management?
Everything in your body has a capacity to handle force. And in order to make stuff able to handle more force, you need to progressively challenge it to do so. Mobility, like the idea of it is kind of like, can you control range of motion? And it's like one thing to like stretch and create more range of motion, but if you can't control it, then it's kind of pointless. And in order to control it, the muscle needs to be loaded, and you can't just put loads of load on it. You have to manage the load. And so you'll gain mobility by managing load appropriately through full range of motion.
Excellent explanation. Quick example of like a exercise for improving load management.
Right now I'm doing to improve my hip flexor strength, standing kettlebell knee raises. So I put like my foot under the kettlebell and I lift it up using my hip flexor, like a high knee drive. That's been super helpful. Actually, it's been really good at strengthening my hip flexors, but at the same time, strengthening the glute med to keep my hips level. And then I do the exact same thing, but hanging off a bar to engage my abs too.
Wow.
So it's like pulling my hips down like this. So I have to pull up with my abs as well. And so basically all around that lower back area and hip flexor, all of it works. And so running, you just do loads and loads of reps, but that doesn't build strength, it builds endurance. And so load management for me would be gradually building up from like 4 kilos to 8 kilos to 12 kilos.
Absolutely brilliant example. And then to wrap, RPE or percentage-based programming?
RPE for the vast majority of people. Rate of perceived exertion varies from day to day. You might wake up feeling like a 10 out of 10 and you can crush a workout, and then you have an argument with your missus and you get a shit night's sleep and the dog wakes you up at 5 a.m. And then the next day you just have no ability to cognitively take your body to the point where you can hit that same level of exertion, especially with strength. Strength is lots to do with neural signaling. It's like how like psychologically tuned up are you? How strong are the signals getting from your brain to the muscle? It's not just the muscle, it's that neural signal strength too. And one day you might have really good ability to generate force, and then another day you might not. So RP allows that flexibility without overdoing it. Percentage-based training is great for like Olympic athletes though, because for them, you just got to get this shit done.
And they're in pretty good state of mind every day that they're turning up for training because of the environment around them. But what's most important for us as everyday athletes would be relative exertion to how you are feeling that day.
Yes.
Amazing. What advice would you give to 25-year-old David Birtwistle today, if you could?
God, that's a really interesting question.
Go find Hazel and meet her earlier.
I met her, my wife Hazel, I met her when I was probably about 25 or 26.
You just weren't ready yet.
Well, she had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy. Well, so yeah, I don't know. I think my general belief system on life is that everything you've done, every decision you've made has got you to where you are today. So if that was to change, then you might not be where you are. You might be somewhere different. And whether or not that would be the better place or not, I don't know.
We never will. What are you most excited about for 2026?
making decisions about what the rest of my life is going to look like, or at least the next 10 years.
We're
That's
excited
it.
we're excited to watch
I
this.
don't know what's going to happen exactly yet, but there's times I feel like there's chapters of life, and I'm embarking on the married man, family man, future business owner chapter, and I'm like excited to see where that goes. I'm taking my time to think through it properly. Maybe that would have been advice I give my 25-year-old self, is like, just think a little bit more before taking action. Think through it properly. Maybe I'm definitely more like not hesitant, but deeper with my thought processes now.
That's amazing. Well, Kello's excited to support you and remove that cognitive load as you go through that.
Cheers, bro.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was absolutely brilliant and really informative. And it's great to speak to another one of our customers and get a bit closer to them. So
Cheers,
thank
bro.
you so much.
Thanks for having me.